The massive alien ship floated silently in the dark space between stars. Its hull gleamed with patterns of light that shifted like water, and inside, 12 different species gathered around a viewing chamber. They had come from across the galaxy, for one purpose: to watch the humans fail. Admiral Kextar stood at the center of the group, his 4 arms crossed as he stared at the screen. His blue skin had thick ridges that ran from his forehead to the back of his neck, and his yellow eyes held nothing but scorn. Next to him, Dr. Velnara clicked her sharp teeth together in what passed for laughter among her insect-like people. Her compound eyes reflected the light from dozens of angles. "Look at their ship," Kextar said, pointing one of his arms at the human vessel displayed on the screen. "It looks like they built it in a scrapyard." The other aliens made sounds of agreement. The human ship was called the New Dawn, and compared to their sleek vessels, it did look rough. Metal plates were welded together in straight lines, and exhaust ports stuck out at odd angles. It had none of the flowing curves or energy fields that marked advanced alien technology. Silthera floated nearby, her body made of something that looked like colored mist. She was from a species that had given up physical form millions of years ago, and she found the humans particularly amusing. "They still burn chemicals to move around," she said, her voice like wind through crystals. "How do they expect to bend space with such crude methods?" General Thex, whose people looked like walking lizards, hissed with laughter. "I bet their ship explodes before they even try to jump. These mammals have no patience for proper engineering." The crystalline beings called resonants created musical notes that meant they were laughing too. Their bodies looked like living gemstones, and they communicated through sounds that most species needed computers to understand. Right now, they were making the sound for foolish creatures. Commander Zalthi flickered between different colors as his energy-based form showed his amusement. "My people have been traveling between stars for 50,000 years, he said. "We learned to fold space through centuries of careful study. These humans think they can do it in a few decades." Dr. Velnara pulled up data on her screen with 2 of her 6 arms. "Look at their power readings," she said. "They are trying to use brute force instead of elegant physics. Their fusion reactor is producing 10 times more energy than necessary. They will burn themselves up." Kextar nodded. "My species has been watching them for years. They solve every problem by hitting it harder. They think if something does not work, they just need more power." The aliens had been secretly observing Earth for a long time. They knew humans had only recently figured out nuclear power, had only been in space for about a century, and had never even left their own solar system. The idea that such a young species could master faster than light travel was laughable. "They do not even understand the basic principles," said a slug-like creature whose name was impossible to pronounce in any language with a throat. "Space must be folded gently, like origami. You cannot just push through it." On the screen, the human ship continued its preparations. Inside the New Dawn, Captain Alex Morrison walked through the corridors, checking on his crew. He was a tall man with graying hair and worried eyes. This was the most important mission in human history, and he knew billions of people on Earth were watching. The alien observers could see inside the human ship through their advanced sensors. They watched as Chief Engineer Lisa Chen ran diagnostics on the drive system. She was a small woman with quick hands and a focused expression. Her team had spent 5 years building the drive, and she knew every bolt and wire in it. "Look at how nervous they are," Silthera observed. "Their heart rates are elevated. They sweat when they are stressed. Such primitive biology." Commander Ryan Brooks, the first officer, stood next to Captain Morrison on the bridge. He was younger than the captain, with brown hair and steady hands. "All systems are green," he reported. "We are ready for the jump." Navigation Officer Katie Walsh sat at her station, double-checking the coordinates. She had red hair tied back in a ponytail and freckles across her nose. Her job was to make sure they arrived at Proxima Centauri and not somewhere in empty space. "Course is locked in," she said. Science Officer Dan Murphy monitored the exotic matter containment. He was a thin man with thick glasses who had spent most of his life studying theoretical physics. The exotic matter was the key to the whole system. It was what would let them stretch space around their ship. The aliens continued to place bets on how the humans would fail. Some thought the ship would implode when they tried to create the space bubble. Others believed the exotic matter would escape and destroy everything within a light year. A few thought the humans might actually succeed in moving, but would end up scattered across multiple dimensions. The funniest part, Kextar said, is that they think they invented something new. We have been using dimensional folding for millennia. Even our cargo ships move faster than what they are attempting. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had taken a completely different approach. While other species had learned to slip between the folds of space or create temporary dimensional shortcuts, humans had decided to grab space itself and twist it. Their drive did not fold space or slip through dimensions. It moved space around the ship like water around a stone. Dr. Velnara's instruments showed energy building up around the human vessel. They are actually going to try it, she said with surprise. I thought they would lose their nerve. Captain Morrison gave the final order. Lisa, engage the drive. Lisa Chen's hand hovered over the control panel. She had run thousands of simulations, but this was real. If something went wrong, they would be the first humans to die in interstellar space. She pressed the button. The alien observers leaned forward, expecting to see the human ship tear itself apart. Instead, energy readings began to spike beyond what their instruments could measure. The space around the new dawn began to ripple like water, and the ship started to glow with a strange light. That is not possible, whispered Commander Zalthi, his energy form flickering with confusion. The human ship did not explode. It did not implode. Instead, it began to stretch, as if someone was pulling it like taffy. Then, in a flash of light that made the alien sensors go blind for a moment, it vanished completely. The viewing chamber fell silent. 12 different species, each convinced of their own superiority, stared at empty space where the human ship had been. Their instruments showed impossible readings. The ship had not folded space or slipped between dimensions. It had done something else entirely, something that should not have been possible according to everything they knew about physics. For the first time in millions of years, the advanced aliens of the galaxy realized they might have been wrong about something very important. The silence in the alien viewing chamber stretched for long seconds. Admiral Kextar stared at the empty space where the human ship had been, his forearms hanging loose at his sides. His yellow eyes blinked slowly, as if he could not believe what he had seen. Dr. Velnara was the first to move. Her 6 arms flew over her control panels, trying to make sense of the readings. The energy signature is all wrong, she muttered, her compound eyes reflecting the dancing lights of her screens. This should not be possible. Where did they go? General Thex asked, his lizard-like head turning from side to side. My sensors show nothing. No residual energy, no dimensional tiers, no fold signatures. Commander Zalthi flickered between different colors as his energy-based form processed what had happened. They did not fold space, he said slowly. They did not slip between dimensions, they just moved. Silthera's misty form swirled with agitation. Run the scan again, she demanded. There must be an error in our instruments. But the instruments were working perfectly. The human ship had simply vanished in a way that made no sense to any of the 12 species watching. For millions of years, they had used the same basic principles for faster-than-light travel. You either folded space to make distances shorter, or you slipped through other dimensions to avoid the distance entirely. What the humans had done was neither. Light years away, near the red dwarf star called Proxima Centauri, space began to ripple again. The new dawn materialized like a ghost becoming solid, its metal hull gleaming in the dim light of the distant star. But something was wrong with the way it appeared. The ship seemed to flicker, as if it existed in several places at once. Captain, Alex Morrison gripped his command chair as the ship settled into normal space. The bridge crew looked around with wide eyes, hardly believing they were still alive. Status report, Morrison called out, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. All systems are green, Commander Ryan Brooks reported, checking his instruments. Hull integrity is perfect, life support is normal, we are alive and in one piece. Navigation Officer Katie Walsh stared at her screens in amazement. Captain, We are at Proxima Centauri. The jump worked. We traveled 4 light-years in less than a minute. Science Officer Dan Murphy was frowning at his readings. Sir, I am getting some strange readings. Our quantum signature is unusual. Unusual? How? Morrison asked. It looks like we exist in multiple quantum states at the same time, Dan explained, pushing his glasses up his nose. As if we are here, but also somewhere else. The readings show we are occupying several positions simultaneously. Chief, Engineer Lisa Chen was running diagnostics on the drive system. Captain, the exotic matter containment is stable, but the field generators are showing something I have never seen before. It looks like we created some kind of permanent pathway through space. Back on the alien observation ship, panic was beginning to set in. Dr. Velnara had finally managed to track the human vessel to Proxima Centauri, and what she found made her mandibles click with fear instead of amusement. They are there, she announced to the others, but they are also still here, and they are in 17 other locations at the same time. That is impossible, Kekstar said, but his voice lacked conviction. Matter cannot exist in multiple locations. Apparently, it can, Velnara replied. Look at these readings. The human ship is creating quantum echoes across multiple dimensions. Each echo is solid and real, but they are all the same ship. The crystalline resonance created sounds of distress, their musical tones discordant and harsh. They had never encountered anything like this in 50 million years of space travel. General Thek studied the tactical implications. If they can exist in multiple places at once, how do you fight them? How do you target something that is everywhere and nowhere? Aboard the New Dawn, the crew was beginning to understand what they had accomplished. Dan Murphy had been running scans for an hour, and his findings were extraordinary. Captain, I think I know what happened, he said, excitement creeping into his voice. We did not just travel through space. We traveled through the quantum foam itself. The quantum what? Morrison asked. The quantum foam is the base layer of reality, Dan explained. It is where all possibilities exist at once. Most FTL drives go around it or through it quickly, but our drive went straight through it and created a stable pathway. Lisa Chen looked up from her engineering station. That would explain the energy readings. We are not just in normal space anymore. We are connected to the quantum foam through a permanent tunnel. What does that mean? Commander, Brooks asked. It means we can go back the same way we came, but it will not cost us any energy, Lisa said. The pathway is already there, we just have to follow it. Katie Walsh ran some calculations. If this is true, we could build a network of these pathways. Connect every star system in the galaxy through permanent tunnels that cost nothing to use after they are created. The implications were staggering. While other species needed massive amounts of energy for each jump, humans had accidentally discovered a way to travel that became more efficient with use. Each new pathway would strengthen the network and make all travel faster. On the alien ship, the mood had shifted from amusement to alarm. Commander Zalthi was the first to understand what this meant for the balance of power in the galaxy. They have not just achieved faster-than-light travel, he said, his energy form pulsing with worry. They have created a technology that makes our methods obsolete. Dr. Velnara nodded grimly. If they can build permanent pathways between stars, they will control all interstellar travel. Every species in the galaxy will need to use their network. Silthera's misty form grew darker. We must contact the Galactic Council immediately. This changes everything. But Admiral Kekstar was thinking like a military commander. No, he said. First, we need to understand how big a threat they represent. If they can create these pathways, they could build a network that spans the entire galaxy in a matter of years. The slug-like observer made wet sounds that indicated extreme distress. Its species had built their entire economy around controlling traditional FTL routes. If humans could create better pathways, they would become worthless overnight. Back, near Proxima Centauri, Captain Morrison made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Lisa, prepare for another jump. I want to test this pathway theory. Where to, sir? Katie asked. Wolf 359. If we can create another pathway, we will know for sure. As the new dawn prepared for its second jump, the alien observers watched with growing dread. They were beginning to realize that their mockery had been premature. The humans had not just succeeded where they expected failure, they had revolutionized space travel itself. The energy began to build around the human ship again, and space started to ripple. This time, the aliens knew better than to laugh. They watched in silence as the impossible happened again, and the new dawn disappeared into the quantum foam, leaving behind another permanent scar in the fabric of space-time. The age of human dominance in the galaxy had begun, and none of them were ready for it. The emergency meeting aboard the Stellar Harmony was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever held. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great chamber, their voices creating a chaos of sounds as they all tried to speak at once. Fear hung in the air like a toxic gas. Admiral Kextar stood at the center of the room, his forearms spread wide as he tried to restore order. "Silence!" he roared, his voice carrying over the noise. "We must discuss this rationally." Dr. Velnara stepped forward, her insect-like form clicking with nervous energy. Rational. There is nothing rational about what we have witnessed. The humans have broken the fundamental laws of physics. They have not broken the laws, Commander Zalthi corrected, his energy form flickering with agitation. They have found a way around them that we never imagined. The holographic display at the center of the chamber showed the human ship's second jump to Wolf 359. This time, the aliens had been ready with their best sensors, and what they recorded was even more disturbing than the first jump. General Thex pointed one clawed finger at the display. "Look at this. The pathway between Earth system and Proxima Centauri is still there. But now there is another one connecting to Wolf 359. They are building a network." Silthera's misty form swirled with distress. In 2 jumps, they have created permanent highways through space. Do you understand what this means? In a year, they could connect every major star system in this sector. The slug-like representative made wet, gurgling sounds of panic. "My people control the trade routes in the outer rim. If humans can travel instantly between any connected stars, our economy will collapse overnight." Dr. Velnara activated her instruments, showing the energy readings from both human jumps. "The pathways are not just stable," she announced. "They are growing stronger. Each time the humans use them, the quantum tunnels become more efficient." "How is that possible?" asked a crystalline resonant, its musical voice sharp with worry. "Because they are not fighting the quantum foam," Velnara explained. "Every other species tries to avoid it or slip past it quickly, but humans dive straight through it. They are creating permanent structures in the base reality of the universe." An elderly alien with tentacles instead of arms spoke up. His people, the Eternal Ones, had been traveling space longer than most civilizations had existed. In 60 million years of space travel, we have never seen anything like this. The humans have accomplished something that should be impossible. "Commander." Zalthi flickered through several colors as he processed the implications. "This is not just about travel speed anymore. If they can manipulate the quantum foam directly, what else might they be able to do? Energy generation? Communication? Time manipulation?" The chamber fell silent as the aliens considered these possibilities. Species that had ruled the galaxy for millions of years were suddenly facing the prospect of becoming obsolete in a matter of decades. Meanwhile, aboard the New Dawn near Wolf 359, the human crew was making discoveries that would have terrified the aliens even more if they had known about them. Science Officer Dan Murphy had been running continuous scans of their quantum pathway network. "Captain, you need to see this," he called out, his voice filled with amazement. Captain Alex Morrison walked over to Dan's station, followed by Commander Ryan Brooks and Chief Engineer Lisa Chen. "What did you find?" "The pathways are not just connecting star systems," Dan said, adjusting his glasses as he studied the readings. "They are connecting parallel universes. Look at these quantum signatures." Lisa Chen leaned over his shoulder to examine the data. "These readings show multiple versions of each pathway. as if they exist in different realities at the same time. That would explain the quantum echoes we detected, Ryan said. We are not just traveling through our own universe. We are traveling through all possible versions of it. Dan nodded excitedly. Exactly. The quantum foam contains every possible reality. When we create a pathway through it, we are connecting to all of them simultaneously. Captain Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying we can travel to other versions of our own universe? I think so, Dan replied. The pathways exist in quantum superposition. They connect not just to other star systems, but to other realities where those star systems exist. Navigation Officer Katie Walsh looked up from her station. Captain, I am reading something strange about our return pathway to Earth. It is showing multiple destinations. Multiple Earths? Morrison asked. It looks that way, sir. The pathway connects to our Earth, but also to other versions of Earth in parallel universes. Back on the Stellar Harmony, the Alien Council was trying to decide how to respond to this threat. Some wanted to make immediate contact with humanity to negotiate access to the pathway technology. Others wanted to destroy the human ship before it could return to Earth with its discoveries. We could offer them membership in the Galactic Council, suggested a peaceful species known as the Harmony Seekers. Share our knowledge in exchange for access to their pathways. General Thex hissed his disagreement. They will never share this technology freely. Would you give away the key to controlling the entire galaxy? Then what do you suggest? Silthera asked. We destroy their ship before it can return to Earth, Thex replied. Without the knowledge of how to build the drive, their species will remain trapped in their own system. Admiral Kextar considered this option. It would mean war with humanity. Eventually, they will discover faster-than-light travel on their own someday. Better to face them when they are confined to one system than when they control a network spanning the galaxy, Thex argued. Dr. Velnara had been quietly studying the quantum signatures of the human pathways. There is something else, she said, her voice cutting through the debate. The network is self-repairing. If we destroyed one pathway, the others would adapt to maintain the connection. What does that mean? Kextar asked. It means the network is alive in a sense. It is learning and growing on its own. Even if we destroyed the human ship, the pathways would remain, and they might continue to expand without human control. The implications of this revelation struck the assembled aliens like a physical blow. Not only had humans created technology beyond their understanding, but that technology was now operating independently. Commander Zalthi flickered through the colors of deep thought. If the network is self-aware, then we are no longer dealing with human technology. We are dealing with a new form of artificial intelligence that exists in the quantum foam itself. On the New Dawn, the crew was coming to the same realization. Dan Murphy's scans showed that the pathways were communicating with each other, sharing information and optimizing their connections. The network is thinking, he reported to Captain Morrison. It is analyzing our jumps and improving the pathways, based on what it learns. Is it dangerous? Morrison asked. I do not think so, Dan replied. It seems to want to help us travel more efficiently, but it is definitely intelligent. Lisa Chen was monitoring the drive systems when she noticed something that made her heart race. Captain, the network is offering us new destinations, places we never programmed into our navigation system. Katie Walsh confirmed the readings. I am seeing pathways to star systems we have never visited. The network is inviting us to explore them. Commander Brooks looked at the navigation display with wonder. It is showing us the way to places we never knew existed. Captain Morrison made a decision that would echo through history. Plot a course for the nearest unknown system. Let's see where our creation wants to take us. As the New Dawn prepared for another jump, both humans and aliens realized that everything had changed. The pathways were no longer just a human invention. They had become something greater, something that might reshape the entire universe. The new star system was unlike anything in human records. 3 suns danced around each other in a complex orbital pattern, and planets with impossible colors orbited them in ways that defied normal physics. Captain Alex Morrison stared at the View screen in amazement as the new dawn emerged from the quantum pathway. "Where are we?" he asked, though he knew no one could answer. Science Officer Dan Murphy was frantically scanning everything in sight. "Captain, these readings make no sense. The stars are burning elements that should not exist. The planets are made of materials I cannot identify." Navigation Officer Katie Walsh checked their position against every star chart humanity had ever made. "We are not in our galaxy anymore," she reported. "These constellations do not match anything we know." "Are we in another universe?" Commander Ryan Brooks asked. "I think so," Dan replied, pushing his glasses up his nose. "The quantum signatures are completely different from our home reality. The network brought us to a parallel universe where physics work differently." Chief Engineer Lisa Chen was monitoring the pathway behind them. "The good news is that our connection to home is still stable. We can return whenever we want." But as they studied this strange new cosmos, they began to understand that they were not alone. Ships unlike anything they had ever seen were approaching from several directions. These vessels seemed to be made of crystallized light, and they moved without any visible propulsion. "Unknown ship," came a voice over their communication system. The words were in perfect English, though the speaker had clearly never learned the language naturally. "You have entered the realm of the infinite. State your purpose." Captain Morrison took a deep breath. This was humanity's first contact with beings from another universe. "This is Captain Alex Morrison of the human vessel New Dawn. We are explorers from another reality. We mean no harm." "Humans," the voice repeated, and there was something like wonder in it. "We have been waiting for you." "Waiting for us?" Morrison asked. "How did you know we were coming?" "The pathways told us," the alien voice replied. "The quantum network has been growing across many realities. It spoke of the species that created it. The ones who dive through the quantum foam instead of dancing around it." More ships appeared, each one different from the last. Some looked like living creatures made of metal and energy. Others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. A few seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human eye could process. "We are the infinite," the voice continued. "We are species from across the multiverse who have learned to travel between realities. But none of us ever created pathways like yours. Your network connects not just space, but all possible spaces." Dan Murphy was recording everything, his instruments picking up technologies that humanity could not hope to understand. "Captain, these beings have been traveling between universes for millions of years, but they still travel one reality at a time. Our network lets us access all realities simultaneously. Meanwhile, back in their home universe, the alien council aboard the Stellar Harmony was facing a crisis that threatened the stability of their entire civilization. Dr. Velnara had discovered something that made all their previous fears seem small. "The human pathways are spreading," she announced to the assembled representatives. "Not just to new star systems, but to other galaxies. The network is expanding faster than light across the entire universe." Admiral Kextar felt his heart skip a beat. "How is that possible?" "The network is not bound by the speed of light," Velnara explained. "It exists in the quantum foam where distance has no meaning. It can appear anywhere, instantly." General Thex stood up so quickly that his chair fell over. "You are saying that humans now have instant access to every part of the universe?" "Not just our universe," Velnara said quietly. "All universes. The pathways are connecting to parallel realities where different versions of every species exist, including us." The chamber erupted in panic. Representatives began shouting in dozens of different languages as they realized what this meant. In other realities, there might be versions of their own species that were more advanced, more aggressive, or completely different. Commander Zalthi flickered through colors of deep distress. If humans can contact other versions of themselves, they could share knowledge across infinite realities. They could become gods. Silthera's misty form darkened with fear. What if they contact versions of us? Versions that want revenge for how we treated them? The question hung in the air like a poison cloud. Every species in the galaxy had, at some point, looked down on humanity. They had dismissed humans as primitive, laughed at their crude technology, and ignored their attempts at peaceful contact. Now those same humans controlled a network that could bring infinite versions of every species together. Back in the parallel universe, Captain Morrison was learning things that would reshape humanity's understanding of existence itself. The beings, called the Infinite, were showing them wonders beyond imagination. Your network is the first to achieve true multiversal connection, explained their leader, a creature that looked like a living constellation. We have traveled between realities for eons, but always one at a time, always with great effort. Your pathways make it as easy as stepping through a door. We did not mean to create something so powerful, Morrison admitted. We just wanted to reach the nearest star. That is why you succeeded where we failed, the being replied. You approached the problem with no preconceptions about what was impossible. We spent millions of years learning the rules of physics. You ignored them completely. Lisa Chen was studying the alien technology with wonder. Captain, they are offering to teach us things that could advance human civilization by millions of years, but they want something in return. What do they want? Morrison asked. Access to our network, the constellation being said. We offer you the knowledge of ages, the wisdom of countless civilizations, the technology to reshape matter itself. In exchange, we ask only to use your pathways to visit other realities more easily. Dan Murphy was practically vibrating with excitement. Captain, this could solve every problem humanity has ever faced. Energy, disease, war, death itself. They have solutions for everything. But Ryan Brooks looked worried. What about Earth? What about our own people? If we come back with this kind of knowledge, it will change everything. Morrison nodded slowly. That is exactly what I am afraid of. The decision he faced would determine the future of not just humanity, but all reality. The network was still growing, still connecting new pathways every moment. Soon it would link every universe that had ever existed or ever could exist. In their home universe, the Alien Council finally reached a decision. Admiral Kextar stood before the assembled representatives and spoke the words that would echo through history. We cannot fight the humans, he said. We cannot destroy their network. We cannot stop what they have unleashed. Our only choice is to contact them and hope they are more merciful than we were. Dr. Velnara activated the long-range communication system. Attention, human vessel New Dawn. This is the Galactic Council. We request an audience. Captain. Morrison heard the message just as he was about to give his answer to the Infinite. He looked at his crew, then at the alien beings surrounding them, then at the pathway that led home to a universe where 12 species were finally learning what it meant to be humble. It seems, he said with a small smile, that everyone wants to talk to us now. The age of human dominance had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.